Comic books have arguably been one of the most influential pieces of media ever created. A bold statement, I know, but really stop and think about it. Ever since Detective Comics, Adventure Comics, Action Comics, and many more that sprouted in the mid to late 1930s, they've had a snowball effect that completely changed the modern day landscape for storytelling. Ever heard of a thing called Marvel? Huh, liberal? Yeah, didn't think so. Besides being the life force for unemployed, sweaty Funko collecting Redditors, and dominating the silver screen in the 2010s, comics have found their own popular spot right here on the internet, known as webcomics. If you've been on the internet for the past 10 to 15 years, and come on, I know you have, you've read a webcomic here and there. Maybe it was Sarah Anderson, or Homestuck, or XKCD, or Andrew Dobson. Either way, webcomics are still to this day a very popular and relevant form of art appreciated by all. If you make good webcomics, that is. Today though, we're going to talk about a certain Kickstarter for a webcomic, which infamously saw the creator collect $80,000 from backers before ditching the series after 8 pages. This is the story of the Cloud Factory. I'm sure many of you already know what Kickstarter is, but I'll briefly explain anyway. Kickstarter is a website where creators can get funding for their passion projects from strangers with too much spending money and half a functioning brain. I'm kidding obviously, but you'd be surprised at how many obvious scams are funded by people who don't take 10 seconds to think, I wonder if this is even physically possible. I'll give it to them though, there are some very successful projects that actually delivered on their promises, but those are far and few between. Just like the Kickstarter project we're going to be talking about. Alexandra Lexi Douglas is a character concept artist, illustrator, and product designer with an extremely impressive portfolio of beautiful and visually appealing art. I mean seriously, look at this, it's incredible. Her main focus seems to be on sci-fi and fantasy illustrations, with over 4 years of professional work for different companies like Penny Arcade and Atlas USA. And this person isn't just some nobody that popped up out of nowhere. She's been on Twitter since 2008 and Tumblr since 2010. Right after graduating art school. Even back then, she was doing things like attending Gen Con, which is a tabletop game convention held every year in Indianapolis, Indiana. In September of 2010, she'd set up her own shop to sell merchandise and posters of her artwork with her very own website. Lexi clearly had a strong and solid reputation in the art community, on the internet, in real life, and also the professional world. Looking through her early work, it becomes apparent that she really liked Homestuck, with most of her work in early 2011 being fan art of different characters and such. And if you know what happened with Homestuck's video game Kickstarter, it becomes a funny coincidence. Oh, and don't forget My Little Pony. You can't be a real artist in the 2010s without being an MLP fan. Off topic, but I find it surprising that she also accurately predicted Marceline and Princess Bubblegum getting together in the show Adventure Time by 7 years, which would confirm the ship in the finale, aired on September 3rd, 2018. Anyway, as the years go by, you can see her art and illustrations improve, slowly turning into what she's known for today. And finally, we get to June 13th, 2012, where the announcement of her upcoming fantasy adventure webcomic would be announced to the public on Tumblr. Already, there was a functioning website where you could read the comics up and running, as well as a blog exclusively dedicated to the webcomic. First, let's talk about what the Cloud Factory is actually about. The Cloud Factory is a fantasy adventure webcomic that takes place in a magic-infused world in the midst of the industrial age. Though coal and steam power are commonplace, the people of this world are equally dependent on energy sources and devices, harvested from the scattered ruins of an ancient civilization. These discoveries have been a boon to mankind, but as the old adage goes, some secrets are best left undisturbed. 100 years before the story takes place, one such ruin springs to life and covers the valley nation of Riverville with clouds, dramatically altering the landscape with catastrophic floods and incessant rain. The comic follows 2 young protagonists, a tinkersmith and a latent witch, as they struggle to solve the mystery of the Cloud Factory and protect the people they love. The Cloud Factory is an idea I've been sitting on for years, barely more than a basic premise I hung on to for the day I'd have the freedom and support to write and illustrate my own stories. The origin isn't a unique one. There's a few factories on the river just south of Indianapolis, which I used to drive past on my way downtown from my old home in Greenwood. Smokestacks always look like they're making clouds, but on overcast days, when the clouds hung particularly low, it really looked as though they were coming from the factories themselves. That thought grew into the idea for a short children's book, which grew into the idea for a small graphic novel, which grew into the idea of a long-form webcomic, hopefully the first of many. The 2 protagonists for the comic are named Molly Millbrook and Theophile LaForge. Molly left the valley 10 years ago, but makes a sudden return, with her parents still at Delta City, and rumor has it she has a knack for magic. Theo is handy with an anvil and hammer, but prefers the tools of a tinker. They were both close friends when they were younger, but things go south when Molly makes a return. And then there's the other characters, such as Theo's rival, Penrose Namalora, and what I assume to be her brother, William Namalora, who inherited the lion's share, while Penrose helps the family business with the numbers. There's Rufus LaForge, who is Theo's father, and Molly's aunt, Dame Bellefleur, who's got a natural talent for magic. Now, if you're like me, you probably read that and thought, that's it? Because while there does seem to be a decent concept for a fully fledged story, it's pretty vague and lacks a lot of details that probably should be known in order to entice the viewer. I'm not saying you need to spoil every plot point or something, but there needs to be some sort of hook. I'm sorry, but for me, one paragraph and a few character blurbs isn't gonna cut it if I want to fund a webcomic. Now that's my opinion, but it was clearly enough for over 1,000 people to donate. Besides that, we have some concept art scattered throughout her Tumblr and website of things like landscapes, animals, characters, etc. And some music made for the webcomic by James Roach. But that's pretty much it. On the website, you can also donate through PayPal, which allows you to download all the wallpapers available below, which is just the logo, a few paintings, and a floral print in a few colors. Moving on to the official Tumblr page, we actually do get some more lore building and backstory to this world. The Cloud Factory takes place in a low fantasy Earth-like setting, with a civilization in the midst of an industrial age. The larger cities have an Edwardian aesthetic, coal and water-based electricity is commonplace, and a lot of major technology is steam-driven, but I wouldn't consider it steampunk. To save some time, a lot of the posts on this blog are just answering questions from fans and more concept art. Things get interesting though, once we reach April 6th, 2013. This is where the initial Kickstarter page would be announced. At first, Lexi asked for a modest goal of $7,500 to fund the series. The goal for the Kickstarter was actually to create a high-quality softcover art book that would include at least 4 comic pages by July 1st, 2013. The webcomic would still be in production though, at least, that's what she promised. You're not going to believe this, but in only a week of creating the Kickstarter page, Lexi managed to raise almost $50,000 with almost 900 backers donating, only 1 week in, and you guys completely shattered the estimate I had for the entire campaign. The project is currently 655% funded, and shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. Here's a rundown of what's been accomplished so far. 1. The first 5 stretch goals have been met, and we're less than $1,000 away from the 6th. 2. Buttons, stickers, and brass Luna B pins have been unlocked for various backer tiers. 3. 2 additional comic pages have been added to the total that'll be available to read at launch on July 1st, with a 3rd one on the way, which means there will be a minimum of 7 pages posted when the webcomic starts running. With the way things are going, I'll be able to accomplish so much more than delivering an art book and launching my own comic. Your generosity has raised me up from living job to job, setting my own projects and ideas aside so I can make ends meet, to being able to make a living creating and delivering my own original content. This is something I saw myself being able to do in 10 years, maybe even 5 on an optimistic day, not in 1 month. Thank you so much for all the support you've shown my project so far. I look forward to giving it all back, tenfold. And then on the 30th, she'd make another post where she thanked everyone for getting the Kickstarter to $57,000 and over 1,000 backers. Hey guys, we've got a little less than 2 weeks to go, and I've been hard at work thinking of new stretch goals to fill in the space for the campaign's endgame, and making progress on the book content. The new stretch goals are as follows. $65,000. In addition to expanding the patron tier again, I've added a bookmark to be included in all reward tiers of $25 and up. $70,000. A new 1-inch button for all tiers of $35 and up. The design will be revealed when the goal is met. $75,000. A high-resolution PDF booklet of printable dress-up paper dolls featuring main and supporting characters for all backers. These will be based off costume design sketches I've been working on lately, and will include a PSD file for anyone who wants to design their own outfits for the TCF characters. You guys continue to amaze me. Thank you so much for the support. During the final hours of the campaign, she'd make a post highlighting some of the changes to the goals, given how much extra money she'd gotten from this whole thing. We're entering the final hours of the campaign, but if you're just now tuning in, here's a rundown of what we've been able to accomplish so far. 3 bonus comic pages have been added to the book, and for the online launch, for a total of 7 pages, for everyone to read as soon as TCF starts. The book has been expanded from 32 pages to 36, and there will be a gold foil stamping of the cover. A 1-inch Kickstarter exclusive pin and a bookmark have been added to all tiers of $25 and up. A sticker sheet, a second 1-inch button, and an additional 2 5x7 prints have been added to all tiers of $35 and up. An antique brass and enamel Luna B pin has been added to all tiers $45 and up. a high-resolution PDF booklet of paper dolls and costume art for all tiers. The final amount of funding reached for the webcomic stood at $83,632, with 1,710 backers on May 11th, 2013. You might be thinking, for the amount of money she received, there's not really a whole lot of backers, which makes sense, and I thought this too, until we start to look at the rewards you get for donations. Reasonably, the starting rewards are fairly priced at $10 to $35, which included things like a PDF of the Volume 0 book, a digital album of the Cloud Factory soundtrack, which includes a total of, I believe, 3 songs, and some prints. Hooray! For $250, you can have your very own name appear inside a shop for at least one whole page. And get this, for an extra $50, you can have your name be the name of a powerful spell, also at least one page. For $500, you can be drawn in as a background character for, yet again, at least one page. And for a real diehard Cloud Factory fan, you can pay $1,500 to have Theo interact with your character in the comic. And yes, one poor person actually paid for this. Switching to the Updates tab, we can see that Lexi began to work on sketching the thumbnails for the first page of the webcomic on April 25th, 2013. Now, most of the updates are locked to the public and only available to backers, but in July of 2013, we can actually see there's a formal apology she made. They say that grossly overfunded Kickstarters have a strong likelihood of delivering later than promised. This week, I've regretfully discovered how easy it is to reinforce that statistic. While I managed to get the site and first page up on time, lack of proper preparation led to several technical difficulties, and the remaining pages were in no condition to post. Although the online launch was only part of an overall goal, I've been hyping it up for weeks, and even on the eve of the first, I allowed optimism to rule that day, rather than the reality you deserved as my supporters. For that, I apologize. Many of you have sent me lovely, encouraging messages, stating you're happy to wait, if it means the content delivered is at the quality it was intended, and they've truly saved the day on more than one occasion. Since launch, I've endeavored to deserve them, and posted the second finished page earlier today. By November 1st, 2013, she had actually finished the physical copy of the Volume 0 version of the Cloud Factory, which I'm assuming is a prequel or backstory to the actual webcomic, including concept art and other information, not the actual webcomic itself. The next publicly available update is April of 2014, almost a full year since the Kickstarter was set up. Everything up to $75 for the backer rewards had been shipped out, and hopefully in the hands of her supporters very soon. The next update would be September 24th. The higher tiers for rewards were still being worked on, and things have been good with shipping. Lexi also confides with her backers about changes in her life and her problems in mental health, which were caused by issues in being able to support herself, I'm assuming financially. Her final updates would come in January of 2017, letting people know that the $100 tier and up rewards have been completed and shipped, where she again confides with her backers. Although 2 of the Kickstarter's major goals, starting the comic and publishing Volume 0, were achieved, the third and arguably the most important goal of regular updates was not. I simply wasn't prepared, personally or professionally, to undertake a project like this as my sole pursuit. Even now, especially with a full-time creative job, I don't feel like I have the discipline and time management to produce consistently in my free time. Now that I've cleared the book drawing hurdle, I'm actually excited to work on the webcomic again for the first time in almost 3 years, but I plan to take it slowly, as I need to in order to avoid burnout and be happy with the quality of my content. For the webcomic itself, the first page was actually completed and posted on August 1st, 2013. The second page would come soon after on the 3rd. Pages 3, 4, and 5 would come out within the next few days, which probably saw a lot of hype and excitement from our audience that, may I remind you, paid $80,000 for this. And then nothing for a while. It took until September 12th of 2013 for the 7th page of the webcomic to be released. A bit odd, maybe, but she's gonna release the next few pages she worked on like she did before, right? November 2015, 2 years later. It took until November 5th of 2015 for the 8th page to come out. And guess what? After all the money that was poured into this by fans, after all the promises she told everyone, and after all that time since 2013, when the world needed her most, she vanished. That's right, she stopped after 8 f***ing pages. It's also been a total of 8 years since the last page was completed. Funny. There was an update though on her Tumblr when page 8 was released. This unfinished page has been one of my biggest obstacles in my repeated attempts to resume this project. It was a reminder of the months-long anxious breakdown that followed the Kickstarter, which is still being fulfilled. and a cascade of professional failings. It remains a major source of stress for me, but I refuse to give up on it. I don't want to be on that list. I cannot entertain the idea of regular updates yet, but neither can I let this story sit around collecting dust, while I wait for it to stop making me feel uncomfortable to work on. I don't have a whole lot of spare creative energy outside of my full-time gig, but I can surely spare enough time to put out a page or two every now and again. The plan moving forward is to work in small batches, and try to keep my proclivity for crazy painterly rendering to a minimum. This page took no more than 10 hours to complete, compared to the 30-hour average of the previous pages. I can work with that. Someone on Reddit actually made a really good point when discussing this situation. The whole reason she even made a Kickstarter and wanted to raise money for this project was so that she didn't have to be bogged down with pro work and could focus on creating solely this. But here's the thing, she's still doing pro work. She never stopped doing it, even after collecting the money. According to the comment, she also completed most of the story and plot points on the side, so why exactly is it so difficult just to illustrate a new page? She has every resource available to her, money, time, skills, etc. What's really going on here? So far, I've found no reason as to why she stopped the webcomic and abandoned it. Ever since the last update, she's been radio silent on anything involving it. No tweets, no blogs, no art, no comments, nothing. Just completely ignoring anyone who asks her about it, or even where all the money went. It's really frustrating too that she continues to post and be active on social media while refusing to refund or even acknowledge her backers. All we've really seen is some vague comments here and there about mental health and burnout, but that's not really an excuse when you fail to deliver on something that people paid money for, aka stealing. I will say this though, I do appreciate the fact that she managed to fulfill most of her backer rewards for donating, except when looking at the comments. A lot of people haven't received theirs yet, with no signs of her ever communicating with them ever again.
I still haven't received my rewards. I feel as though this is dead by now, but I have still yet to receive any of my physical rewards.
Please open up refunds to those who have not yet received the rewards. There's been total silence from this campaign for nearly a year, and the comic that was supposed to be created using the profits from this campaign never really got off the ground. This project seems abandoned, so please either communicate with us or return our money. You have not delivered my book even based on contribution. You have appeared to give up on the project also. You seem to be a bad actor in the Kickstarter space, and I'm disappointed that I trusted you. Why don't you think you should provide what you promised?
Hi, Lexi. It's been over a month since I responded to the January survey, and I still have not received my book. Are there still rewards waiting to be sent out? Thanks.
Still waiting. No update in 10 months. I know you aren't dead since you are certainly very active on Twitter. I can be super patient, but I think this is getting pretty extreme at this point. Even if it isn't coming out anytime soon, I think all people need is some idea where things stand and how things are going from time to time. How many pledges do you have left to deliver? How many do you manage to send out a month?
The saddest part is how nice and patient people were when the webcomic was going nowhere. Of course, they didn't know they were being scammed, but it's still unfortunate. People said nothing after there was a 2-year hiatus. In fact, most were supportive of her and said they understood, but cutting them off completely when people were rightly concerned about where their money was going, or if there were going to be any more updates, is just so scummy. Now, I understand that having such a large amount of money given to you to create something is daunting and a lot of responsibility, but there's many ways to go about it instead of just taking off with it. She didn't have to do this whole thing alone. It'd be very simple just to hire a few people to help with sketching, lining, and coloring, to produce more pages faster. It also seemed like she lied about this being a passion project she's been wanting to work on for many years. On her Tumblr in June of 2017, she announced that she was working on a video game called Gigantic that was going to be in beta testing soon. Okay, hold on. You're telling me you had all the time and money in the world to develop a f***ing video game since 2014 and not enough focus to finish the webcomic that people paid you for? What the f***? I swear, she says multiple times she needs the money so she can focus only on the webcomic and not have to worry about anything else. You know what the best part is? The game is pretty much dead as of today. In only a year of it being released, the studio shut it down due to lack of players and popularity. Sometime 3 months ago, there was a limited time revival, but of course this didn't do much to help. As of today, the Cloud Factory shows no signs of ever returning. Lexi hasn't been active since 2022, and her Tumblr hasn't been active since the porn ban of 2018. None of the backers have received their refunds as far as I can tell, and at this point I doubt they ever will. Lexi refuses to this day to acknowledge any of this, and God only knows where that $80,000 actually went. There's not much else to say here. People got scammed by an alluring Kickstarter that promised something super feasible, which never ended up happening, because the creator is a lazy con artist. And this goes without saying, but please don't harass Lexi on my behalf. What she did was terrible, sure, but I don't want to be responsible for something that may happen. Behave yourselves. So that's all I have to say about this for now. I want to thank everyone for 1,000 subscribers on the channel. I'm so grateful for all you watching and supporting my content these past 2 years. It really means the world to me. Anyway, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Have a good night, everybody.